Hello and welcome to Connect. I'm your host, Randy Shabilo. On today's show, we'll have Captain Mike Steckhan from the Prairie Lily riverboat, as well as author Candace Savage with her new book, Strangers in the House. As always, we'd like to connect with you.
Tweet us at connect_YXZ. Follow us on Facebook to watch new and past interviews, or email connectyxz@gmail.com with any future guest or topic suggestions.
Saskatoon's Prairie Lily riverboat has been on the river for some time now, and we found Captain Mike Steckhan here to come down and talk a little bit more about this major tourist attraction and now a signature. Captain Mike, thank you so much for coming down here.
Oh, thanks for the invitation.
I want to ask you about yourself and how you got to be in the role that you're in today. There has to be some history of Captain Mike and Joan and how you came to be with the Prairie Lily.
It was almost, I think like many of these things, it was almost an accident. I had my own small business, my own shop, doing mechanical work and things like that. And of course, I was in the Naval Reserve at HMCS Unicorn here in Saskatoon. And the 2010 100th anniversary of the Canadian Navy was 2010. And we were doing a lot of public affairs things. And we had our own small boats and things like that. And we decided to get together with Peter Kingsmill, who was, we knew him because he had a small riverboat downtown. And we would maybe do some combined demonstrations for the public and things like that. So we got to know Peter quite well. And another connection is Peter's grandfather was the first admiral of the Canadian Navy in 1910. And that was his own grandfather, so that was kind of an interesting little connection. So we did some on-water displays and demonstrations. I worked with him a bit and got going, and eventually partnered up with him in the riverboat thing. And at some point we realized that the market in Saskatoon was a lot bigger than potentially a lot bigger than was being serviced. So we brought in the Prairie Lily. We purchased that ship out of Colorado. It was on the Colorado River, it was in Laughlin, Nevada. And it came up for sale, coincidentally, at just the right time, and the price was right. And arranged for a very, very large truck and trailer to bring it up. And then at some point, Peter wanted to retire, so we bought him out, and now Joan and I have Prairie River Cruises.
So to get to that point, I'm just going to ask you about that boat, where it came from, because it's a ship, I think, with the size of it. Mm-hmm. How many would it hold? What are some of the specs on it that you can share with us?
Well, she's 20 feet wide and 83 feet long, and she'll carry 119 passengers. And we have, of course, heating, air conditioning, and very, very comfortable. We keep the inside a very period kind of riverboat decor. But there's 2 washrooms, and it's all modern amenities and a bar. So we have 119 passengers. We can seat anywhere from 45 to 60 for dinner, depending on the circumstances. And we're available for regular tours. Somebody wants to come down and see what the city looks like from the river. It's really quite spectacular. Or that, and we also have the dinners and Sunday brunches, and we have some specialty cruises too. We actually do wine tastings once a week, and we have some other really neat specialty stuff coming up, which I won't talk about yet for next season. But yeah, no, it's 119 passengers, 107 gross tons. So it's the biggest thing that's been on that river since the days of the steamboats. The next biggest ship that was there after that would have been the City of Medicine Hat in 1907. Going back to the steamboat days. There was actually quite a bit of steamboat traffic on the Saskatchewan river systems before the turn of the century. And a lot of those steamboats, there's 6 or 8 of them, that were operating for Hudson's Bay Company or the private firms. And they ran the rivers and hauled freight and things up to as far west as Medicine Hat and Edmonton. And then all the way back to Lake Winnipeg and Winnipeg itself. So there was a lot of steamboat traffic back in the day, but of course the last big ship that was here was 1907 with the City of Medicine Hat when she wrecked on the traffic bridge pier. Right. But so now since 1907, now this is the biggest ship that's been on there. So but it's ultra modern, diesel powered, and no big stern wheels splashing away. But
it looks beautiful, and I've been on it many times. It is thank you for mentioning that, because when you are on the ship itself, you do see a perspective of the city that I've lived here all my life I've never seen before, and I enjoy showcasing my city for others when they come, and just having fun sometimes. It's nice just to do that. You also do some interesting work with, was it sonar, radar, some underwater work. What's involved with that?
Well, our other company that Joan and I have is a marine technology company, Inland Marine Technologies. And once again, what it was a bit of my naval background. One thing that I had become involved with, at least around the periphery, I was an engineer, but was at the time, years and years ago, the Navy was getting into and developing side-scan sonar systems to be able to identify objects on the seabed for route survey and things like that. So the Navy had a security concern. And I was lucky enough to become involved in that program, and I could see a lot of this technology, and it was very much in its infancy at the time. And so anyway, years later, I retired out of the Navy, and we got involved with this. But at the same time, I realized that there was a need for on-water industrial services on the prairies. It's something that people say, well, you got a marine technology company in Saskatoon, are you crazy? But there's actually a lot of water here, and there's actually a lot of need for things like infrastructure analysis. When you can put a boat in the water safely in a flowing river with zero visibility, and you can get sub-centimeter resolution imagery of the structure of a bridge pier or a water intake structure, well down in the water, that an engineer can actually measure and see what's going on down there. That's very much a market that we're going to. And there's not a lot of it out here. You'll see more, of course, on the coasts. But out here, people just assume that a marine technology company in Saskatoon is a contradiction in terms. But and we've got a jack-up barge. We can do on-water industrial work. In fact, just recently, we were helping out underneath the Buckle Bridge for that rebuild project with some concrete patching and things for Allen Construction. So there's any number of on-water jobs in Saskatchewan that we go after. Well, I shouldn't say just Saskatchewan. We've been as far west as BC and as far east as Ontario doing underwater inspections.
So wherever the work is where you would go. Obviously not with the Prairie Lily. This is another division.
Yeah, this is trucks and smaller boats, and they're actually custom built. I had them custom built on Vancouver Island. And they're a landing craft style, very much a heavy-duty workboat. It's not something you'd see playing around on Candle Lake. Like there's not. These are heavy-duty workboats, maybe 18 to 20 feet long, but very, very powerful, and push barges with them, and all kinds of things like that. So once again, we've got the equipment and the technology that you won't find generally on the prairies. But then I do tell a lot of our clients, they look at the technology and say, oh, well, we can buy that too. I said, you certainly can. You go right ahead. But how are you going to get that thing on the river, in a roaring river that may be at flood and conditions bad, and safely do that? That's really what the market is. The technology is nice. It's really pretty and very, very useful to engineers and people who need to find out what their infrastructure is like. But it's useless without the sailors to put it in the water and get the data you need. So that we're not just selling this technology, because anybody can buy it. We're selling the ability to deploy it and get the good imagery and get the product the customer needs.
Well, it says a lot about the expertise that's required. I mean, first of all, there's safety and the boat, and then the technology. Where do you see the future with that? Can it just be on the infrastructure side? Could it be used for mining or any drilling and things like that up north?
There are any number of uses. First of all, the ability to get on the water. But the technology itself, whether it be scanning sonar, it's not just that. Our jack-up barge, for example, has a drill well in the middle. So a drilling company who wants to do cores, we've done that a number of times, put a coring drill on top of our barge. We go out in the middle of a river where they want to build a bridge or do a bridge repair. Well, the engineers need to know what the geology is like underneath where they want to put their pier. So we can actually get a drill out into the middle of the river and get their cores for them. And the drilling company loves it. They can get something that nobody else can. So there's that stuff, along with the scanning sonar and things. But it's all very, I think the biggest thing is that it was letting people know in industry, engineering firms and government, municipalities, let them know that we can actually do this. A lot of people don't, in Saskatchewan especially, they don't realize that this kind of technology and these kinds of skills exist. As soon as they find out, they go, oh my God, we could use that at 5 different places. Well, okay, but now you got to know that we can do this kind of stuff.
Where do you see, coming back to the Prairie Lily on the tourism side, it's been widely featured. You know, we have the Besborough and that skyline, but now we see the Prairie Lily. It's part of Saskatoon. Do you see it getting any bigger? Do you see a one on the horizon that might accommodate more, or are we looking at maybe putting a paddle wheeler against the river for a casino? How big can the river hold and sustain, do you think?
Well, I think it's a matter of once again looking at markets. I mean, you have to look at what a public demand may be. I think at some point, if you build it, they will come, the old saying. You know, a lot of people would never have occurred to them to go out on the river until the boat arrived. Then they say, hey, that's a nice ship. Hey, maybe we should do that, right? There was no demand. Hey, somebody bring a riverboat in.
Yep.
So if you build it, they will come at some point. As far as the ship itself, she's in great shape. There's many years of life left in her. I don't see putting a bigger ship in. I can see putting more cruises on, more frequent cruises. We have to develop our staffing, get more of that, people involved. And as far as I think a riverside restaurant, for example, down by the Buckle Bridge, Phase 2, I think that area there, I think that would be an absolute gem. You know, part of River Landing, close to the Ramey, close to all the nice new buildings downtown.
Yep. Yep.
And I think that would be a no-brainer. I think people would love to do that. That'd be something you could do in Saskatoon too. In fact, I wouldn't mind seeing a really nice riverbank restaurant there with a riverboat dock down next.
What a nice idea.
You know.
Captain
But
Mike,
that's a bit beyond. So.
I want to thank you for making time today and sharing that background and insight. It's a wonderful attraction. Congratulations to you and Joan, and we'll see you on the river next spring.
Hopefully so. There's always a pint for you, Randy.
Good, thank you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.